after over 197 books, I don't actually remember a lot of them, but they changed how I think. Not my conscious thoughts, but like my subconscious. And
Hmm.
Carl Jung once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And I think that's exactly what he was talking about.
Mm.
And a good way I think about this is your subconscious is like a spreadsheet. It's either filling up with good data, bad data, or no data at all. And think about your consciousness as like Chat GPT. Not really, but bear with me on this analogy.
Mm.
So when you upload your spreadsheet, aka your subconscious, to ChatGPT, your conscious, the better data you have, the better answers it's going to provide, and the less data you have, the more it will just make shit up, which is
Hmm.
literally what happens with AI and your consciousness.
Hmm.
This is because your brain doesn't wait for missing data; it just fills in the gaps and moves on. Same with AI. And so if your spreadsheet is small, your ideas are limited and probably delusional. And so if it's rich and full, your thinking improves. And and uh, and so that's a lot of what I think about when reading books. And actually, two of the books where I've pulled a lot of this information is The Matter with Things by Iain McGilchrist and Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. But this whole like behavioral economics, psychology world is a big category for me when I'm reading nonfiction.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, and diversified too. The reading's diversified. The knowledge you're taking is diversified. It's not from one sect. You're getting a well balanced diet of knowledge, and you can reading is the best choice in my opinion. But you can add in podcasts. The podcasts have been, uh, I think, the greatest
Oh yeah,
thinkers over our time would have been listen to podcasts as well.
oh,
Uh,
100%.
so I
And
think,
in
yeah,
combination, read a
yeah,
book,
yeah.
read the author doing a podcast on the book. And that, I think, just retaining information is a big piece that you and I have tried to do since we started reading.
And since one thing that it also does that I've noticed, I held a podcast for several years, and still kind of do with these videos. But one thing it's reading has done for me is it's allowed me to have more things to talk about in social settings. Every time I'm
Yeah,
talking with
yeah,
people, I'm bringing up whatever interesting thing I'm reading at the time. So whatever it is, whether it's history or psychology or mysticism or
business.
sales,
Yep.
business, I, it's on my mind. I'm talking about it, and I'm trying to regurgitate it, teach other people it, so then I can understand it more myself.
Yep. I love that. I run into the same situation where sometimes feel like I may be annoying because I'm constantly referencing some book or something in most conversations, especially deep conversations with friends
Mm.
and whatnot. Uh, yeah, well, one of the things I thought about, like one of the reasons that drove me to reading in the beginning was like one of the things, well, podcasts, right? Like we'd
Mm.
listen to podcasts of successful people, and it's just constantly like successful people. They're just talking about the books they've read. They're referencing books,
Mm.
and they're just these avid readers. And it's like, well, if you want to be successful in any area, and the most successful people are doing something, you probably it's probably a good idea to repeat it. And so that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons that drove my motivation, as well as like I remember early on Michael Simmons writing articles about what he called the 5 hour rule,
Mm.
where you want to read or learn uh, 5 hours minimum a week, because that's what the greatest thinkers, the Warren Buffetts and the Charlie Mungers and all of those folks and all the successful people uh, do, because it compounds your learning. And I think that compounding effect is another thing that has been a huge benefit, where you kind of mentioned it, if you diversify, you, so the volume of reading and then the diversification of reading helps you compound your learning, because then learning from this area, you connect the dots from over here and connect the dots over here, and then what starts to happen is your creativity just, you know, unleashes, because it's
Mm-hmm.
able to connect dots. uh, and yeah, I think that's one of the things, I've read before that, if you someone once said, like, the more you read, the more creative you are. And I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
It's helped my creative writing, for example, over the years.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot as the more books I've read, how much they connect. Not only like the actual things connect, but the understanding of the concepts of reading something in one book and then a few years later reading it in another book and it didn't
Mm,
click the first time, but then it clicks the second time and then they're all connecting. And then the more I just read them, everyone's saying something similar,
mm-hmm,
and then the light bulbs are going off for me, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm able to articulate it better to
mm-hmm,
people after I keep reading. But that when I first read that first book about the human psychology or our subconscious or whatever the like, it was much more difficult for me to articulate it in the moment to someone.
it was a fucking
And
struggle, man. Do you remember in the
yeah,
beginning days, like I was looking up probably every other paragraph. I was looking, like, maybe every paragraph, looking up words, especially reading on Kindle. And it's like, I loved reading on Kindle because you could quickly
mm-hmm.
define, figure out what it was. It was painful in the
Yeah, our
beginning.
vocabularies weren't great. I would still say mine isn't the best.
Mm-hmm,
It's probably average still, but
mm-hmm.
then it was below average my vocabulary, and it just
Oh,
took a major step up.
shit poor. Do you find yourself always using vocabulary words that you just pop out? It's almost like just came out of nowhere, and it
Oh
happens
yeah,
to me.
yeah,
It's like I don't even know where that came from.
yeah,
Or I'll say, so Tina always tries to catch me on like a vocabulary word that I miss said, you know.
yeah,
So I'll
yeah,
use something, and she's like, "That's not what that means." I was like, "It's happened so many times now that I'm just like, I guarantee you, if you look this up, I used it correctly." you know,
yeah.
um,
But
I'm,
going
I'm
back to
like
your point
I'm wrong
on,
like 1 out of 10 times on my vocabulary. It's not me. It's just my
yeah,
subconscious. You know.
yeah, no, that's good. I had Michael Simmons' article 5 Hour Rule down as well. That was very impactful for me because he went down on a list. You look at basically every single president outside of maybe the last two, but every single president
Yeah.
before that, the majority of them read books and read them daily. And that's what he kept finding. The more people,
Hmm.
and you mentioned Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, but Bill Gates, all of these
Musk.
successful people were reading books and reading them daily. And when I read that, I just kept thinking to myself, I need to implant this into my life as a daily habit,
Hmm.
and I got to do whatever I need to do to implement this in my life because it's going to make me more successful. At the very least, it's going to make me more interesting.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
come to find out, it's made me understand my own psychology a lot better. It's helped me meditate better. It's helped me understand other people's psychology, uh, how to understand other people and how to navigate conversations in high emotional situations much better because I'm able to use my wording better. I'm able to understand that all people have needs, and I
Hmm.
need to sometimes understand that first,
Hmm.
wait before speaking, all these types of things, and then understand my own needs when I'm in a conversation and my own neuroses that I have. I'm trying to understand those and where I have them, where
Hmm.
my sensitivities are. So that's books just help me a ton with that. And we're going to list some of the books here in a few. I imagine I got some to share that helped me in that journey, or at least were most pivotal. Um,
Yep.
yeah.
100%. The um, like, one of the things that you were mentioning, a lot of the learnings or insights from some of the books, and like one of them, say what you mean, is I already know some of the ones because you and I read a decent amount of them. But I already mentioned one, like thinking fast and slow, like understanding that helped me understand my subconscious a lot better,
Mm-hmm.
and then how to and so then it help if I can understand it better about myself, then I can approach people differently.
Mm-hmm.
uh Even like How to Win Friends and Influence People, like it's a famous one. And it was like an early psychology book in my opinion. And I think all of those are like explicit ways to improve your relationships, whether it's work or personal. It's like books explicitly designed for improving that psychology, behavioral economics, behavioral decision making, that type of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also the ones where just reading in general helps your relationships. You know what I mean? Just
Mm-hmm.
it improves your like emotional intelligence, uh, and your just intelligence. I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Like,
without a doubt.
there's no doubt. Like you, you, if someone reads 100 nonfictional books, their IQ is going to go up. And there's no doubt in my mind that their IQ is going to go up.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Quick tidbit: you mentioned Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends, Influence People. I just read a finished biography of Ben Franklin, one of the founding fathers of our country. Dude had read 24/7. The guy was always reading. Same for Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. Those dudes were reading all the time. If they weren't in their garden, they were reading
Hmm.
or doing something political. But Ben Franklin was inspired. Dale Carnegie and Covey from
Yeah.
Seven Habits of
Yep.
Habits of Effective People, or whatever that book's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
It's missing me. Both were inspired by Ben Franklin. A lot of what
Oh
he had
wow.
a lot of self improvement. A lot of his writings was trying to prepare young people in certain trades and professions, and just trying to be better humans. And they were both said or wrote that they were inspired by Ben
Oh wow.
Franklin. So that's
That's
pretty cool.
huge.
Yeah,
That's huge.
which is one of our founding fathers. Which you're like, oh, that makes sense then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of my favorite like business books, Four Disciplines of Execution, was Covey related too. So it's like a ton of different, there's a ton of different connections. It goes deep, goes pretty deep. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
beautiful. That's one of the things. It's like books stand the test of time. It's like there's knowledge uh, that we're learning from dead people, you know,
Mhm.
still learning. And that's another way like the learning compounds. It's uh it's an amazing it's
Yeah.
amazing
One thing that we've heard a lot about as well is building mental models, and which is kind of,
hmm
we were tiptoeing around on our conversation what books do for you, and I think that's what they've built a lot as well.
yep.
And but a quote by Naval Ravikant, he said, "What are the most efficient ways to build new mental models? Read a lot. Just read. Reading science, math, philosophy, 1 hour per day will likely put you in the upper echelon of human success within 7 years," is what Naval
Wow.
Ravikant says, and
Yeah.
very intelligent dude. Uh, so I fully believe that. And I think when you're building mental models or philosophies, or the way you go about your life, your daily life, that's the most powerful thing you can change. And that's what determines success, is what you're doing in your daily habits every day. So if
hmm
reading's helping you form those, then you're going to put yourself in the upper echelon within 7 years. There's no doubt. Like you and I think um, are proof for that. We didn't start reading till about 15 years ago. Start to really kick in about 10 years ago. Super
hmm
serious about it. And before that, probably read 10 books total in our lives
Yeah. And they're
each.
all in like seventh grade.
Yeah. So, and then have taken, have our careers have done really well. Our social lives
hmm
have taken, whether it's with our wives or friends. So to me, if you're building mental models, reading's the way to do it. And I think it's a powerful way.
What's great about reading is that once you're an adult and you're in the real world, there's no authority on telling you what you can and can't read, and so you just drive your whatever motivates you, whatever inspires you, you read, and you could just shut the book off, or and close it and move to the next one. That's
Mm-hmm.
what's amazing about reading is is that you basically empower yourself, like, and so if you're bored with something or something sucks, just move to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Like my wife got it more into reading. She just drove her interests and slowly over time just read more and more and more, and it just slowly aligned to interests, and then she picked up reading more and more and more. And I think you and I did a similar thing with ours. Is like, I remember first, what drove my interest was a lot of like a scientific, evolution, just learning deeply about different sciences and whatnot. And then that, even like some atheism, religion stuff in the beginning, and then that's evolved over time. I was looking at my like book categories. I had, so Readwise is a huge thing, tool we use to summarize, basically take notes, and then it surfaces up those quotes, those notes back up to us daily, and then it helps us retain all the information. And I think that's an important part of this, is that you obviously want to retain the information and learn it, and
The
Readwise
best
is a
tool.
huge.
Yeah, the
You
best.
can also chat now. In the age of AI, you can chat with your highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I asked is like, what are my categories of, if just group it into 6 categories. And I had personal growth, spirituality, uh, psychology, neuroscience, decision making was one category, business, startups, product building, history and society, and then parenting, education, child development.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much we've gleaned from like parenting books, you and I, and being improving, like helping our children's lives, but it's been, tenfold
Mm-hmm.
prior to what we didn't know or did know.
Yeah, the one thing you're talking about, your interests expand. So, like when we first start
Mm,
reading, you only have a few interests, but then when you start reading, then
that's a
it
great
starts
point.
expanding, expanding, expanding. Next thing, you're like, oh, I'm interested in this. Oh, I'm interested in this because you read it in this book or you read it in this book, and then I'm pulling out extra books. The next thing you know, my interests are just,
Yeah, yeah,
I have too many books to read.
yeah.
I can't read enough.
I was thinking, when I was preparing for this, is like it would take 100 videos to explain all of the learning that I've gotten from all of the books. Like, there's, one of the things from the book Sapiens, like there's 5 other human species, and they were
Mm,
alive, within tens of thousands of years ago. It's like, what? There's other humans.
yeah,
uh, and then like Thomas Jefferson's grief of his most of his children not making it to adulthood, was just feeling that pain is just, powerful. And that's just a minor tidbit of the Thomas Jefferson biography, right? That I distinctly remember. Uh, what else? Like, why we call a marathon a marathon. You and I read the Greek historical book of why we call a marathon a marathon. How to leverage your right hemisphere and your left, discovering underlying neuroses with like Bruce Tift, already free. Just powerful.
yeah.
Any
I would
books you want to
say
shout out?
Yeah, I would say the most impactful books. I put a list down here for myself. Most impactful books for me, and I'm just going to run through them real quick. David Goggins, both of his books,
Mm,
Can't Hurt Me and Never Finish. Those two are one of the most powerful books when it comes to motivation, ambition, um, just hope, um, inspiration. Just fantastic 2 books. Every time I'm reading them, I'm wanting to pick up a new hobby and I want to play guitar. I want to do something. I want to be a
mm.
greater father. I want to be greater everything.
Push harder. Yeah.
Yeah. The Untethered Soul, a look into your subconscious, the you that you may be in your head or not in your head. What is that? And trying to understand it better. Fantastic book. You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. Massive mind shift for me, and several other books around with that one about the subconscious as well. But our thoughts are the most powerful thing that we have, and we need to be very intentional of not repeating them if they're bringing us down, or repeating them if they're bringing us up. And we are the placebo. There's no placebo effect. placebo effect is you. It's me.
Hmm.
We're the ones that's doing it, and it's called a placebo because we're healing ourselves with our minds. So
The one I wrote or read was Becoming Supernatural from Joe Dispenza. Similar topic.
yeah, and which I heard is really good as well. Uh, the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, fantastic book on just building discipline, understanding that there's a voice in your head and it's resistance, and that you're always going to have resistance in your life when you're trying to do hard things like reading. It's
Yeah.
always going to make excuses in your head, and his whole book's around understanding that, how trying to navigate it, and but not trying to work with it rather than fight it. And fantastic, short, super easy read. If you're going to start out, read that book first. You could read it in one sitting. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Read it twice and listened to several podcasts around it. Helped me really develop strong habits in my life, whether it's reading, meditating, all the like.
Yep.
Say What You Mean by Oren J. Sofer, just understanding other people and how to be careful with my wording, understand they have needs. Saying, I noticed someone did something versus you always do that, right? So just easy vocabulary shifts. There's many more. And then I was going to throw a couple thought provoking books in here that just blew my socks off when I read them. The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot.
Mm.
Uh, Worlds in Collision by Emmanuel Velikovsky. This was like a banned book in the early 1900s, and very, very fascinating book around like the how the moon was created, the Earth, and just really out there stuff that you didn't hear in your ninth grade science class. Discrimination and Disparities by Thomas Sowell.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic book to help me understand
Fantastic.
uh, the economics and how in today's social times how everyone has made any disparity in among ethnicities to be discrimination, but he laid it out. Who is a black man? Thomas Sowell is a black man. He lays it out in a very economic way to show, hey, that there is no discrimination uh, gaps. It's more of a
For other reasons.
yeah. There's a lot of other reasons that come into factor, and it's more variable. It's not this one certain
Yeah.
thing of a disparity. The Contagion Myth by Thomas Cowan, and then two other books around like our CIA and government that blew my socks off. Chaos by Tom O'Neill and JFK and the Unspeakable by James Douglas. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Let me rattle off a few more, and then we
and we can
can
end
we
it.
can
Yeah.
jet. Yeah. Cause most of those probably 80% of those I've read, and some of those I have on my backlog. So I know you've read this one, Empire of the Summer Moon, about the Comanche tribe. That one's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Just radically shifted my entire understanding of early America and Indians and their relationship. That book made me read like 2 to 3 other books around that same time, just so I could understand it deeply. The Moth and the Iron Lung was a book about, it's called The Biography of Polio. If that interests you, go down that rabbit hole. And I was just looking through to see if I got anything else that are like big ones that you didn't mention. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius stands the test of time. It just blew me away about how relevant it still is.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal to himself, and they published that, and it's just brilliant that he wrote
Stoicism
that.
was a powerful philosophy for both us and developing some of those mental models.
Carl Sagan, The Demon Haunted World, really affected me. I've read it twice. Uh, Amazing book to help you think better. Um, I even disagree with 30% of it now. I thought he was too. Some of it was too left brain, but it's honestly you need it. If you're way too right brain, you need it. Uh, what else? Um, honestly, both the ancient Greece and ancient Rome books you and I read really shifted my understanding. It helped me understand our society and politics way, way, way better. So that really helped me. And the Invisible Rainbow,
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot
Arthur
about that one.
Arthur Furstenberg,
Very
just
thought provoking.
shifted, just radically changed my view of electricity. And I think Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington
Oh yeah.
radically changed my view, perspective on like slavery and interaction between black and white from someone who actually came up from up from slavery as the name of the book. And then I've read a decent amount of books around psychedelics, like the psychedelic experience with Timothy Leary and Richard Albert Ram Dass before. That was a amazing book if you want to dig into that world. And Free to Learn was another good one that you and I
Mhm.
read around, like, not only if you're a parent, that's huge, but or you're kind of coaching or raising children, but also just for creativity and understanding of the system of learning. It's amazing. Let me see
What
if
was
there's
that great
anything else.
fiction book we just read?
Oh, uh, Replay.
Yeah, Replay.
Let's end it on that.
Fantastic,
Let's end on that.
fantastic fiction book that you can plug in and really change your perspective on life and maybe some mental models as well.
It's honestly a top three must read fiction book that really shifted the way I think.
Yeah, read about your founding fathers too. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
read basically all their biographies. Really good stuff, understanding the history of our country as well. All right,
Amen.
peace out.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it.